There we go. Okay. If you would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. If you would join me in a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here tonight. We ask that you be with us as we go about the business of the township. We ask that you'd help us to keep open minds and to be courteous of one another. We ask that you would return us home safely, and we give thanks to you. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. All right. The first item on here is the approval of the agenda. I don't want a motion because I'm going to, I guess, do I need to make a motion to move them? I'm going to make a motion that we move the new business to be before the pending business. And the reason why is because the new business, technically G1, will affect the pending business. Is that correct, Ed? Okay. So I have a motion to swap pending business with new business. Any support?
I'll support it.
All right. We have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So the approval of the minutes from the March meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Any support?
Support.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Brief public comment. Is there anything that anybody wants to talk about that's not on the agenda? All right, we will go ahead and get into it. So for the new business, the text amendment request, Rockford Storage, the request to amend section 450 23.24 mini warehouse self-storage facility. And I believe it is just one specific part of the text, subsection J, correct, Ed? And it is basically to allow for storage unit door locations to be on Belding Road or facing Belding Road. Currently, they're not allowed that way. Is there anything else to that application other than that you guys would like to expand upon? Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here tonight, guys. This has been a project we've been passionate about and working on for a while, and we've got a couple empty seats, but we've got a quorum tonight, so we're excited to present to you. We bring our best. My name is Jordan DeGraff. I've got my dad, Mike DeGraff, with me as well. I'd also like to pay respects to my grandpa Roger, because he was with us at the beginning with this site. He's no longer living, but he was a big passion for us 30 years ago at this property. We've also got Andy just to help us answer any questions that you guys have, and then we've got Rob with Excel Engineering to be able to talk about our site plan and stormwater. Jeff, to answer your question, yes, we are hoping to have the public hearing for the amendment of ordinance first, and then the second public hearing would be for the special land use to approve the 3 additional self-storage buildings on our existing self-storage site. And our desire is to have the Planning Commission view and vote on both of these items here this evening together, and then our hopes would be to have the board review both of those items at their next meeting. Our site plan includes 3 new buildings. 2 of them will be traditional self-storage. The third one is going to be accommodating indoor storage for RVs and boats. And this is going to be done in a way that it'll be a use that is not currently being offered anywhere else in the township in this way. And what I mean by that is...
Hold on. Don't get into your site plan stuff yet. Let's do the application for the amendment to the ordinance.
Okay. I'm here today, Jeff, so I'll skip that. I'd like to clear the air, and Jeff, you're welcome to cut me off again if this is something I should pass on, but I was hoping to clear the air just on our presentation to the ZBA a couple months ago. We had the opportunity to present to the ZBA and request a variance. That variance was not granted. It was honestly my first time presenting or for a variance, both residentially and business. And we were honestly a little bit confused in the application because of the typo that we mentioned. On page 3 in section A, there was a sentence that read, quote, economic hardship and profit potential are considerations for demonstrating a unique and exceptional condition. Essentially, we read that and formulated a narrative with that in mind. When we got to the ZBA, we very quickly realized, with their patience and grace, that that was not proper justification. And at that point in time, we realized that this was not the route that we should have taken. And we would have withdrawn our application if we would have known that ahead of time. So, all of that to say, the amendment to the ordinance today is the proper route for seeking our site plan approval today. We also think that it is important to know that we're not asking the planning commission to make a blind decision today just to amend the ordinance without knowing our intentions. We're coming in hand with our site plan so you can see exactly what we're hoping to do. You see our building orientation, you see the size of the buildings. We are simply just asking the planning commission for enough flexibility to be able to help us approve our site plan. We feel like this amendment to the ordinance is a win-win because it gives the planning commission continued authority to be able to review our site plan today, but then it also continues to give the planning commission control and flexibility going forward with future projects. So all of that to say, I'm going to skip a couple of the things specifically geared to the site plan. I'd like to introduce my dad, Mike, here just to mention a couple other things regarding the ordinance. Thank you.
Good evening. To be honest with you, it seems kind of strange to be here without Jim Scales. A lot of you have known Jim a long time. I've been around as long as Jim has been. And he and his wife have made a huge impact, in the Rockford area. And, I was shocked. In fact, Andy sent me an email, said that he had just left I was out of the country, and he sent me an email saying he had passed. But anyway, we were working on 2 other projects in another township with him. But I wanted to tell a real quick story about Jim that we kind of chuckle a little bit. But you saw the rain here earlier tonight. We were up at Cortland Township with a meeting. Jordan and I were there with Jim, and it was raining so hard, and nobody had any alternative but to walk in the building. And Jim, with a normal suit and tie, he didn't have a dry piece of clothing on his body when we walked into that meeting, and it was an interesting day. But anyway, the site down here that we're talking about is our original site. We've owned it for 33 years. I've lived in Township for 40 years. It's been one of the premier businesses in Cannon Township. Our customers, who are generally Cannon Township residents, they say it all. They've provided us with hundreds of Google reviews, nearly perfect Google reviews. It's been a long road to get here. We had to do a topo, wetlands evaluation, site design and engineering. We have an Eagle. We did an Eagle application. We have an Eagle permit in hand to build what we're proposing. But I'm here to speak about Jay. Jay is, as you know, storage unit doors shall not face a public street right of way. It's unclear how or why this even got put in the ordinance. Remarkably, this only applies to one use, self-storage. Doesn't apply to anything else, to my knowledge. Edward may correct me, but it discriminates against only one business in Cannon Township and one use. It's a local business. To our knowledge, this prohibiting doors facing a public road is not mentioned in any other zoning category or use. Other types of similar businesses aren't confined to this requirement. Car sales lots, auto mechanic shops, truck terminals, warehouse. Storage doors are normally closed 95% of the time. Whereas a lot of businesses, you drive by, the doors are open, you see everything that's there, and they're kind of unsightly. And I'll just use a couple of examples. One, Glass Design right over here just a few years ago. They built a building. They got doors facing Belding Road. In fact, I think their doors are going to be quite a bit closer to Belding Road than ours will be. Tom just built a building this past, I don't know if it's done yet or not, but he just built a building. He's got doors facing Belding Road, facing the public right of way. I think we could agree that if we were located in the middle of a residential subdivision, it could be a good thing, but we're not. We're a business located in the outskirts of the township on a state highway in a property zoned commercial with a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. A high majority of the Cannon Township residents have never even gone past Ramsdale. It's just the nature of the beast. Everybody turns right, heads toward Grand Rapids. Furthermore, I've done some looking. I don't have with me. I've done some looking. I essentially looked from the northern Kent County. I looked at Lowell Township going north, all the way, everywhere. There's not a single township that has a restriction on doors facing a public road. Tyrone Township, Alpine Township, Cortland Township, Algoma, Salone, Lowell Township, Grattan Township, Virgins, Oakfield, Plainfield, Spencer, Grand Rapids Township, Nelson, Cascade Township, Sparta Township, Grand Rapids Township, and Ada Township. None of them have a restriction against having doors facing a public road. If this isn't a reason to allow doors facing a public road in this circumstance with reasonable screening, I don't know what is. I'll repeat what I said earlier. I have no idea how it got put in there. Anyway, additionally, our parcel has a practical difficulty resulting from exceptional or an extraordinary condition for narrowness, shallowness, shape, area of the land, unbuildable areas such as wetlands. We are dealing with some wetlands. Because of the wetlands to the north, the 50-foot setback from the road right-of-way, and the depth of the building necessary to park an RV in addition, the turning radius is needed to be able to turn into the building. It's not feasible to move the building all the way up toward Belding Road and put the doors on the north side. Additionally, for the last 3 decades, I've watched neighboring properties fill in their wetlands. A lot of people have. We could have done it. We didn't do it. If we had, we wouldn't even be here talking about this because we could put the building far enough back because we would have filled it in. Anyway, for all of the above reasons, I believe any reasonable planning commission would be willing to amend J, which is, who knows where it came from and why it's even there, and allow us to have a building facing a public road with doors.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. This is a public comment section, or a public meeting. So if you want to come up, state name, address, go ahead. This would be related to the text, the ordinance amendment. Yeah. If there's no public comment, I'm going to go ahead. Feel free, come on up. What's that?
Tom Nine Ice, 9260 Belding Road. First of all, Mike brought up that I'm building buildings. My property is industrial. My doors face the road. And that is permitted in industrial, correct? That's why I was approved for it. Didn't need anything special. Didn't need any variances to have doors because I'm zoned industrial, not B1. Second thing I noticed Mike just said is that he said they don't fill in wetlands. Well, in 2018, discovery of fill that had been brought to the level out of the site for a larging parking lot was filling in the wetlands. 11/14 of 2018, you guys were cited by the township. Okay. All right. So that's the two things that he mentioned that I thought were needed to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
And then you can clarify if I've spoken anything. I think it's fair to say that Tom would consider us a competitor of us, of ours. We think that he offers a different service to the solution, to the area. Tom came in with his property and got a rezone from residential to industrial to be able to build these buildings. We saw the application. We did not speak any negative words against his application when he came in a few months ago to be able to do that. We were in full support of what he was trying to do. But it did require a rezone, which was something that the planning commission had to consider to be able to do what he was hoping to do with his business. To address the 2018, we had an opportunity to be able to accept some fill on our site in 2018. And it was our understanding at that point in time that we did not need a full-blown site plan to be able to accept fill. We were doing it in an area that we truly believed was not wetlands. And it was our understanding with the previous planner here at the township that we did need to, she told us that we did need to submit a site plan to be able to accept fill on the property. And that's when she contacted Eagle. They came out and inspected the property. There was never an official wetlands delineation study done or permitted at that time. We didn't ask any questions. We didn't rebuttal. We just said, that's fine. We'll hire an excavator and remove the fill. We removed the fill at our cost. We restored the land. We planted the trees that were required, the seedlings at that time that was asked of us. And we got a thumbs up from Eagle at that point in time to say, hey, you've got a clean slate moving forward. Obviously, with our site plan here today, we've gone back to Eagle and have said, hey, this is what we'd like to do with our site. Here's our site plan. Here's our official wetlands delineation study. What are we able to do? Rob's been very helpful in helping us communicate with Eagle, but we are in good graces with Eagle today. Any clarification or anything?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Yeah, it came to our attention that we couldn't. You know, we know we are going to need a lot of fill there, so we thought we could get some fill. We were helping out a local excavator. He was getting rid of some fill. We were taking some fill. We didn't, you know, we probably could have caused a stink and said, you know, and started fight it, but no, we just removed the fill. But if you were to look at the situation today where that fill was put, the Eagle permit, the wetlands delineation, where we put that dirt is not considered wetlands. So, but like I said, we removed it, and it is what it is.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment? No? All right. I will go ahead and close the public comment. Thoughts from you guys? Any questions for the applicant? Any thoughts on this?
Well, one thing I would say is, you know, I know what the zoning says you can't have a door facing the street, however it's worded. Yeah, good idea. But if I go west about one lot, there's a gas station or a repair shop or whatever, which has doors and whatever facing Building Road, which I basically is what you're talking about.
I would agree.
Yeah. Although I'm not.
The difference is the number.
Huh?
But the difference would be the number. I mean,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but as far as changing the zoning, typically we change the zoning when there's multiple requests about something and we say, oh, that must be a problem. There's not been multiple requests of this type. And so it's a little bit different to change the zoning, let's say for one person or one business or whatever, than typically how we change the zoning between general zoning updates and then a few years later, another general update. So from that that viewpoint, it's a different type of request. The other side of the coin is, like I said, next door to you, you got garage doors on a business that are very similar up and down, probably open more than yours are going to be, just because of the nature of their business.
Thank you, Terry.
I have
Go ahead.
questions. I don't know if it's more appropriate for us, the board, or for Ed. I just wondered, in response to the applicant's comments about, this is an unusual ordinance. Do you have any insight on that? And do we have any anecdotal history about the purpose behind adding it? Okay.
The other thing that we need to consider is looking at this as something that we do during the ordinance amendment, that we're talking about doing a full ordinance amendment towards the end of the year instead of taking it out of context and doing it now, looking at one specific line. We could look at the whole B1 and industrial. I mean, obviously, we're going to look at all the ordinances, but we may want to consider doing it then when it's more appropriate and we can do surveys and have public comment and feedback from more business owners and stuff versus, like you said, not enough requests right now, or really anybody other than the applicant. I don't think that their application is wrong or doesn't deserve the attention. I just think that we should probably consider this when we do the entire ordinance amendment review.
And I know there was an issue with understanding how you apply for ZBA and stuff, but I don't like overriding what ZBA had already determined. Because I just feel like we have due process for a reason. If they said they didn't like it, I don't know. Eileen, can you explain more content on why you guys chose not to approve it at ZBA?
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't recall. Okay.
The main reason we were denied the variance was because we were not able to show that storage doors couldn't be faced in any other direction for specifically building 3. So it was the minimum variance required needed section, that category. From our standpoint, I mean, yes, somebody could build a 10 by 10 shed in that area and have doors facing north, but this is a commercial piece of property. The question that we are asking the Planning Commission to consider is the way that the text in the ordinance is written right now, it provides no flexibility for site-on-site evaluation. We are saying, would the Planning Commission consider allowing a text to be in there that allows for specific flexibility for our site? When we get into our site plan, we will show that we are offering evergreen trees as screening and buffering. There's a lot of different ways that we are going to offer a reasonable reason for our site to be able to accommodate doors facing Belding Road. An additional reason being, to the south of us, it faces a state highway. There's B1 zoning. To the south of us, to the east of us, and to the west of us. Does that help answer or refresh your memory about the variance?
Well,
From-
I'm gratified that I was handed a copy of the minutes and I was not on the ZBA.
Oh, you were. I'm
minutes.
sorry. You were.
That's why I don't
Okay.
remember it, because I was no longer, or I wasn't present or wasn't there. At the
Okay,
time,
I'm
so
sorry. I thought you were
appreciate-
present for
yeah,
the
no,
ZBA.
I appreciate
For-
that explanation. So,
And sorry, the other piece of this is we would respectfully ask that we not delay this. We're in a construction season right now. The summer construction season is short for Michigan anyways. This has been something that we've been that Edmund has been very patiently working with us on this for over a year. We are the ones coming to the Planning Commission today. We have paid the application fee. We have put in the work. We are respectfully asking for consideration tonight and not to delay something 6 or 9 months out. Is that helpful? Okay, thank you both.
Go ahead.
thank you.
Terry, in answer to your question, that this question's never come up before, there's a very real reason for that. It doesn't affect anybody in this township but us. We're the only ones in this entire township that line affects. It doesn't affect any other businesses. Tom mentioned it doesn't affect him. He could have doors in the front. It's because doors are allowed in the front. Every single zoning category, every single use except self-storage. It's the only one. And then the other thing regarding the building, yeah, we've got a few more doors. Really, there are not that many doors. We have a few more doors, but we have to deal with turning radiuses for fire trucks and for RVs to get in there. And we have to be able to use that setback area in the front along Belding Road in order to make that work to get into a building. It doesn't make economic sense for anybody to build a 4-stall building. You just can't. You can't do the site work to put up such a small building. And the building we're putting up is not, by RV standards, it's not that big. What is it going to accommodate? 15 customers? Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it's about, yeah, it's not on that either. Anyway, it's not going to accommodate a lot of customers, but we're the only ones that this affects.
You said it's not that many doors. How many doors is it? It's 5 times the amount of all the examples that you guys have said. It's 18 doors. Yeah, so I consider that quite a bit more. Well, I understand that, but everybody else in the township that you've been talking about who has doors facing, they're minimal. They're 3 to 4 at max. That's not a lot of linear frontage or just a wall of garage doors. You guys are talking about 18 of them. That's quite a bit.
We got to get this on recording, so when I go back, I can review it all. This is what I do in my free time. Sorry, guys.
Theoretically, the glass shop down closer towards the Acorn Retail store, I mean, they chose to build a 3-bay storage building. They could have built something with 18 doors facing south, and it could have been called something different. It could have been called warehousing. An auto repair store could have built a building and have 18 doors facing south. I don't know if they would, but our use is the only one that's confined to that restriction. To my dad's point, this building is also set back quite a bit further than the typical 50-foot setback that is required for a building. The southeast corner of Building 3 is set back 90 feet from Belding Road, and the southwest corner is set back 165 feet. So yes, to Jeff's point, there are 18 doors, but we're also showing you our site plan today. A lot of self-storage buildings might have 75 doors or more than that. We are doing 18, and the building is set back quite a bit from Belding Road. We are also providing screenage with evergreen trees. Thank you.
Other comments?
I think there may be another public comment, if appropriate.
To industrial. I just kind of feel like this whole thing's marketed towards me because they already do like that. And they know it. And that's what they're doing. And that's why they've come here to compare themselves to me. So I just want to clear that up.
Thank you.
It's kind of marketed towards what I'm doing.
Thank you.
And they're not apples to apples.
I agree.
Could I respectfully respond to that?
We need to talk about the text amendment, not about the different site plans. I mean, I want to make sure that we're staying on course with this is a text amendment, not about site plans and the type of buildings that are on other ones. I'd like to stay focused on this because this will allow us to get to your site plan. Go ahead.
Ed, is it true that this is the only business that this ordinance does affect? Okay. And what type of precedent does it set as a planning commission if we text amend this by passing a variance for ZBA? Does that set any type of precedent?
So it's a challenge, I think, because the ordinance was probably designed for some reason to prevent forward-facing doors, and we can only guess, but as reasonable people, that might be to prevent, all this, seeing traffic coming in and out, seeing people doing things in and out, and just the disruption of that and the visual, like, unpleasantness of that. I don't mean no disrespect for that kind of business. That's just how it operates. And so I don't know. I mean, is there any other purpose for that except to prevent, an unsightly, scene as you're driving by? And the only reason I raise that question is if that's the purpose of the ordinance, then seems to me the countervailing thing is you turn the doors the other way and now you have just brick or siding for a very long period of time or distance, whatever that is. And that's not that attractive either. Again, no disrespect to a business. That's like we are looking at a warehouse kind of thing. And if the purpose is really to prevent that visual screen of movement, then I'm not offended by a green space being permitted in there that would block that activity, provided the planning commission would have control over that, and it might actually be an improvement from driving by and just seeing like a warehouse. Because if the doors are the other way, then we would not have the ability then to require evergreens or require berming or require other improvements that may effectively do a screen and actually provide a greener visual as you're driving by. But again, I'm guessing at what the ordinance was attempting to accomplish, and maybe there's another rationale that I haven't thought of.
Well, and it works in this space possibly, but what if there's another place in Cannon Township where we would for sure not want it to face the road as well? And so amending the ordinance is kind of tricky, or not amending it, changing the ordinance.
But would the reason for it not, the reason for it not facing the road would that change? I mean, if the
Is it a
reason
Belding Road thing, Ed, or is it a B1 thing? Sure.
Jim Scales, or I'm assuming it was Jim Scales, provided text to address this, that it's not an action, doesn't have to be an actual amendment change that all of a sudden we can, but we can with planning commission approval with proper screening. And that's what we're proposing in our site plan is proper screening. And will you see the doors? A little bit, but again, you're driving by at 55. And eventually, as things grow, you might not see anything. But, you look at an auto, go up and down Bostwick Lake area, automotive garages, they got tons of cars sitting out there. With storage, you generally don't have all kinds of stuff sitting out there. And, generally, if you were to drive down there today, I think you'd have to agree that it probably looks better than most everything down in that Bostwick Lake area. The grass isn't full of weeds, the grass is cut on a regular basis, everything has always looked sharp, which unfortunately for 30, 40 years, I can't say that about a lot of our neighboring businesses.
One final thought. This is the 3-bay unit for the glass design place that they built. To my dad's point, they have a lot of extras stored outside as well, with shelving, pallets, clutter, van, storage containers. Yes, we have 18 doors, but it's going to be 18 doors. That's it. There's going to be nice evergreen trees planted in front of it. The doors are going to be closed. Somebody might visit it for a half an hour to pull out their motorhome, and then they're gone. It's a very quiet use. It's very friendly. You're not going to see the clutter. Thank you.
My only concern with the text amendment is we're getting into the weeds then, because if we allow it now, we're going to be arguing over landscaping. I'm not a landscape expert. I don't know crap about trees. Don't really want to become an expert on it. And we had this issue with other site plans where we came up with a plan and it didn't turn out well at all. And we're still having issues with that particular business, but it's for other reasons. But it was that same thing where we gave approval of the site plan based off of a landscape plan, then we gave permission for, I believe, the zoning administrator to approve. And I'm not saying that he did a bad job or anything, we're not experts on it, and I don't necessarily want to complicate an ordinance with clauses like this that are going to make it even more difficult to get something approved. I'm not against it, but I don't like the idea of making it another condition for the planning commission to approve something based off of landscape plans. I'm open to a text amendment, but I also think that it should be done when we do the entire ordinance amendment, when we do the review. So we're not taking it out of context, because we could be looking at it from a B1 standpoint with a special land use allowing it, or would we be looking at it from a industrial zoning use? Because if you look at the ordinances, it's the regardless if it's industrial or B1, it has to have an SLU. Correct, Ed? Right. So, even if we did a text amendment to law garage doors, it's also conditional on if they get an SLU, which I think is just complicating it even further. But I'm not opposed to reviewing it. I just think it needs to be done when we do the entire ordinance. That's just my 2 cents. Any thoughts?
I think we should separate the text amendment from the site plan, do that, 2 different steps. Let's say
We have to.
whatever we recommend goes to the board. And let's say we said yes to the text amendment and they say no. But if it goes to the board and we've already said, oh, the site plan looks good and ever, I think it puts a little different pressure on the board to say yes to the text amendment.
I don't believe we can
Say
approve.
they should be separated.
I don't think we can approve the site plan without the text amendment approval. Correct, Ed?
Yeah.
It has to be conditional.
Right.
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 Can I just make a comment? There's 3 buildings.
Correct.
So I think you could separate the
Did you hear me?
We did, but
There's
the online people
there's
did.
3 buildings being proposed in the site plan, if I remember correctly. Only one of them would be impacted by the change to the ordinance, not the other 2. Because only one of them has doors facing Belding Road, the others do not.
So then, are we omitting building 3 from the site plan?
That's up to you as a planning commission. My only comment was that it doesn't mean that you can't go forward with the site plan. At least you can with 2 of the buildings.
Well, right now the site plan would be non-conforming.
If you denied
No, right now it is.
what I'm saying is that you would be able to look at 2 of the buildings, not 3 of the buildings.
Correct. So we wouldn't. I mean, that's up to them if they want us to keep going with it with just the 2 buildings and take number 3 completely out of it.
What you're suggesting is that you would just deny the whole site plan because of that one nonconformity of the
I'm not saying
single
anything because we're not talking about the site plan yet.
right.
A question for Ed. What is the source of the alternative language? Okay. Well, my thought is the flexibility that is introduced by the text amendment is a challenge because then the weight is on us to make a responsible decision about how to exercise that flexibility. But I think it could ultimately result in an improvement that we wouldn't otherwise have by just having a building with doors facing the other way. That I'm sure your building's going to be nice, but seeing trees and berming, because we see trees and berming in a lot of different places to just reduce the impact of commercial operations. And we would have the flexibility to implement effective screening. Even, it's one thing to provide, but it's also to maintain. And I see the word maintain isn't in here. And I think that's sometimes a problem when we require something and then it dies a year or 2 later. So I think that could be a way to even improve it, to make sure that we've not allowed something that then we just have no ability, it has no ability to enforce. I mean, I agree with you, Jeff. I like rules and concreteness, but if the purpose was to provide a visual screen, and I don't know that the only way to do that is to put the door on the other side. If you have an effective screen that's green, you might reach the same result.
I agree. That's why, I'm not opposed to reviewing this. I think we should just do it when we do the entire ordinance, when we can actually look at the B1 use or the B1 area, because this may be something that we want to put into multiple different zoning areas.
Yeah. It's strange that there's not a single township in northern county that has this in their ordinance.
I don't find it strange because I don't know their ordinances. I don't know where the mini storage lots are. I mean, if I did research and I could find some similarities and stuff like that, yeah, I might find it strange, but I don't know where they are. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't even know where any of them are other than the ones that you guys have. I don't look for them though.
Yeah, many of them are in more of a residential area. They're not on a state highway. They're not on a busy road. They're not on an area that people don't really care a whole lot. Plus the fact that we're at the outskirts of the township.
Well, and to quote Steve Grimm, we're in Cannon Township, we do things differently. So I don't know that having a different ordinance is
Really
that big of a deal. But there's got to be a reason why. I wish we had that anecdotal history, because that would be interesting to know what
it's our main artery of the township for traffic, and it's the one thing that everybody sees because it goes right through the township. I mean, we've talked about years ago, I think it was pre-COVID, doing a Bostock Lake help me, Terry, you remember this? We were looking at the whole Bostwick Lake corridor and
Yeah.
trying to improve the just the unsightliness of it and trying to make it more eye appealing. It never had any traction. I mean, a lot of people like the idea, but when it came down to it, we can't force people to make changes to their buildings and stuff, and we shouldn't do that. But it's the main artery. That's the only thing I can think of too. Is it's because it's the main artery. It's more of a sight thing.
Jeff, time is a concern for us. Terry, you brought up a good suggestion to make a vote tonight and then to get additional feedback from the board next month. Respectfully, we've worked with Edmund for quite a long time with this. I think getting feedback from the board gives them another opportunity to review it, but we respectfully do not feel like it's needed to delay it until a full site full review is needed. You talked about full ordinance review. We are the ones bringing this to the table today. We're asking for to help us get the ball rolling.
Any thoughts?
I don't know all the zoning and rules yet, but can we make it conditional for a text amendment just to this property, even though it's not a variance? Very nice to meet you.
Have we read the verbiage that Jim has submitted? Would that be helpful to read?
I can read it. It says storage unit doors shall not face a public street right of way. The planning commission may waive or modify this requirement if the property located across the right of way is zoned for commercial or industrial use, and if attractive landscaping, screening, fencing, or berming or accommodation of a design approved by the planning commission is provided to screen the view of the doors from the right of way. Chain link fencing with privacy slats is not an acceptable form of screening for the waiver.
Respectfully, one more clarification. We are not coming in today asking to remove this ordinance altogether. That verbiage that Jim Scales came up with gives the planning commission a lot of flexibility for our site and for future projects.
Well, and then one more thing to add, this only affects us, even though you may change the ordinance slightly to still give yourself traction with landscaping, etc. We're the only ones in this township it affects. The only other people it could affect is somebody else that wants to put a self-storage in. But as open as Canyon Township is to development, it might be pretty hard for somebody to ever do that. So it affects us. We're the only ones.
Any other thoughts, comments? Anybody want to make a motion? Talk about it more?
You want a motion?
Feel free.
I'll make a motion that we recommend our board that we approve, I think it's called version 1 of the text amendment, or whatever it is. The longer one, not the real short one, but the
K.
longer one.
Subsection K.
That's what I think. That's my motion, is to recommend to the board that be approved.
It would be the alternative language, not subsection K. It would be alternative language J.
That'll give
Okay.
it space or not.
Thank you. We have a motion. You guys want to discuss it at all?
I'll second that motion.
Alright.
Just a point of clarification. I don't know if our ordinances as a whole, because I don't have them memorized, also have the maintenance piece in there. But if some of the frustration that we've had in approving other plans are something's provided but not maintained, perhaps we would, subject to you know, Brad or others weighing in, we would also say is provided and maintained, so that there's some, just this sense of continuity of obligation.
Would you be open to that amendment to your motion?
I'll accept that as a friendly.
Okay. We have a motion. We also have support. Do you want to do a roll call on it?
Support?
Broad,
Yes.
Matt, Twyman.
No.
Can you explain why?
I just think this needs to be done during the broader review of the ordinance.
Chelsea Slade.
Support.
We have a motion, and it is carried. Now we can get to the next item. Mr. Randy Schmidt, if you want to come up, we'll do yours real quick so we don't keep you here for the longer site plan review.
For having me. Essentially, what I'm looking at is just building a larger accessory building on my property right across the street from my house on Davies Drive. And the rationale for that is boats and so forth right now are, they get bigger and you can't fit them in the small garages anymore. And so I'm just looking at just a larger footprint so I can get my equipment in there.
Anybody have any questions for him? Go ahead.
Ed, can you elaborate when you said no parties for one of your conditions? Like, what is, I mean, if he wants to commercial use, but he could have like a graduation party. Could he have like the Lake Association Halloween party
Oh, she's gonna get you on a condition.
for years? No. It has to be like, okay, got it. No hidden agendas there.
No hidden agendas.
Does anybody have any questions for him? I think it's pretty straightforward.
I did have a comment, maybe it's, or a question, maybe it's more for Ed. Is this a circumstance where there has to be a common ownership and a deed covenant?
Correct.
Okay, so we've verified there's that restrictive covenant. Okay.
Is this a public comment for him? We'll go ahead and open the public comment up for this. If anybody wants to come forward and speak on this, we'll close the public comment then if there's nobody. I don't have any concerns with it. I know what he's trying to do. I've seen it in the area. It fits. I mean, and there's a lot of people that want to do this in the area. I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah. I don't have any questions or comments on it. Do you guys?
Yeah, I got one question.
Go ahead.
It's a fairly high building, 14 feet, and you got windows on the second floor. Is there any future thought to doing something up on the second level? Or is that just going to stay like an open barn? Okay.
Any other thoughts, comments?
Nope.
I'm gonna make a motion that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the special land use to the Township Board with the condition that the structure is not to be used for commercial events.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion, we have support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Randy. Now we can get to the fun part. You want to come up and explain your site plan? All right.
All right. These
guys came to me quite some time ago, and we've looked at the site. It's a very interesting site because the top part where they have the existing storage today is way high on the hill, and then this part drops down. We need to provide stormwater detention for the impervious area that we're proposing, all the roof, anything that's impervious. We've put that in this low area, and you have to have the stormwater in the low area, so that's just the way it is. We have a EGLE permit to be able to inject wetlands here. And the reason for that is because of that low area. We need to provide the detention there. The only thing that we're really doing in the bottom of it is it's going to be stormwater instead of just wetlands that water could flow through. And then we're putting a berm that's crossing the wetlands here, so you're basically making this hole and then increasing it over here. So I suspect, and that's why I think the EGLEs was quick to approve it, that the little impacted wetlands that we're doing here is going to spread through the rest of the detention area as we go. So we've had that permit in hand for I think over a year, and that permit's good for 5 years. They need to do that work before then, or else we got to go through that process again. We've been talking about this building here, and the township engineer noted that the floodplain is high on the north side of Belding Road. I understand where that is, but I'm going to just say this just so you have it in your pocket. We're not going to argue it, but the FEMA floodplain stops at the very north edge of that culvert. And if you look at the floodplain slope of the creek, it jumps up like so that the water flows over Belding Road. And if you look at the area upland and you do some real rough 100-year calcs, that floodplain is just the tail end of a study that probably should have never included that. So if you get, this is why I want to tell you this, because if you get other clients that are saying, or other residents in the area upland of Belding Road that are saying, hey, I'm in a floodplain, I can't believe it. I bet there's many, many property owners that are going to run into that situation. We have an easy solution here. We can raise the site up with the dirt. The dirt to raise the site up costs money, but it will cost less than trying to analyze and work with FEMA to adjust their floodplain elevation. So noted, we've raised this floor to be a foot above the floodplain. The floodplain's at 850.0. Our floor is at 851 feet above sea level. And the road grade out here is, for the most part, if you look at it, there's 856 here, 855 here. So the floor of this building is 4 feet lower than what the road grade is up here, even by raising it above the floodplain. So when you're looking at that protective screening and what can you really see, I think that even 4-foot high plantings are going to hide much of that building and those garage doors, because just the way the lay of the land works. So if the trees or plantings are 4 feet high, you're up at 660. The garage doors are probably somewhat similar to that height-ish. I am welcome to answer any questions that you might have. We appreciate the first text amendment. I want to keep this simple. I think you guys have all researched this project quite well. I'm assuming you've got a few questions, but certainly happy to answer anything that you might have.
You want to go through your review, or Kevin, whoever wants to go first over there. If there's anything that you guys want to highlight, this is a special land use application, so we have to have public comment again, but they're having to, can you explain why they're having to apply?
Township didn't have any special land uses for anywhere else self-storage. The special land uses weren't added until 1996, at which point this business was already established. Now that they're coming to expand, they need to file for it and get an approved special land use due to the expansion.
there anything in your review that you want to highlight?
No, pretty straightforward. It's just contingent on the board passing the text amendment, since the garage doors will be facing Belding Road. Other than that, 2 buildings, 3 buildings with one facing Belding Road. Nothing major in mine.
Kevin, is there anything you want to address in yours?
Yeah, really just one thing, the driveway and accessibility and the layout related to that building number 3. I brought it up and I think it showed up in the fire chief's comments too about accessibility to the sides and the back of that building. The way that it's laid out right now, or on the site plan that I had a few months ago when I last looked at this, is it looks like, based on proposed contours, that on the east and north and west sides, so sides and back, that the grade immediately drops down with a steep slope toward those wetlands. There's a fence that goes along that east property line that goes right to the building corner. So the sides and the back of the building are not accessible at all for firefighting. So in the event of an emergency, that was my concern that I identified. I think it showed up in the fire chief's comments that way as well, to provide access to the sides and the back of the building. And that's really the only thing that I had that could result in a site layout adjustment.
Thank you. Is there anything in the attorney memo that you'd like to address?
No, I think Ed pretty well covered it. This is a special land use, so as long as you're satisfied all special land use standards are met for a mini warehouse, you'd have to go through all of those, find that they're met, and then it is conditional upon the township board approving the text amendment that you just recommended.
How does that work, Ed? Because we can't really approve a site plan based off a text amendment, because if they approve it, wouldn't we then have to review the landscaping?
Correct. So you can go ahead and just almost like review, but it's still conditional on the text amendment being approved. If the text amendment isn't approved, then they'll have to come back for a new site plan approval, since they'll or make changes to it. Yes.
So the landscape plan is for the driveway entrance, but nothing in front of. Am I missing something?
There's 2 pages to the landscape plan. I'm looking through all the documents.
I've got 1 page.
When I say 2 pages, it's 2 separate documents. It's not on the site.
Do you know what it was titled? What's that titled? Oh, the other. There it is. Thank you. Sorry.
So quickly to address that, if you were to approve the site plan with this landscaping, then if the text amendment is approved by the board, then they would not have to come back because you would have already approved that landscaping.
What is proposed? Just evergreen trees?
Yes, we have evergreen trees. Belly
Any specific sizes or anything? Any specific sizes or anything?
The ordinance requires 7 foot.
I couldn't read it. Sorry for asking. And I would assume where it says trees in the parking lot, that's the current stuff, right? No, but I mean, we're in the crosshatch of the parking lot. It says trees. I would assume that's the current vegetation, correct?
Is there a way to work a different, you got this long row, actual different trees, it's going to have some height, either back of it a little and forward or something, give a little height in the color? Because I know you're in a tight area. Because otherwise we're looking at a green wall of, I don't know what kind of shrubs, yeah. Hmm.
They have to have more than one species. Yeah.
We just had a site plan approved for the township. We offered a variety of 3 different types. I believe it was Norway spruce, Blackwood spruce, something like that. So we could offer a variety.
You're proving my point.
It's usually not the PC though. That's my point. Yeah.
We also have the opportunity to require a berm, which could affect the size of the landscape. So it would seem to me that we would want a landscaped architect to provide a plan that we could review and approve, subject to our review and approval. Now, I don't know how that means you come back here, but I'm certainly not comfortable agreeing that we're going to exercise discretion to require a landscape plan, but not have one. And I heard you say, well, all you need is a 4-foot tree. Well, maybe we don't. Maybe we need a 7-foot tree, or maybe we need a berm plus a 4-foot tree. So I would really like to see a plan on that, because this is if the board approves this, this is the quid pro quo that we're trying to protect.
One thing that we do know in submitting the landscaping here is that the ordinance has a way to minimum of 7 foot tall for the American trees, and would be spaced at 15 feet. The trees that are presented on the site plan, not a specific number of them there, but the idea was that this would cover the visual buffer for the building in that space.
Yeah, I don't know. 15 feet sounds wide, but I'm not a tree person, so I would really like to hear a tree person say that that's gonna do the cover.
And that's a plan, but after 5 years, the tree gets
chapter 26 deals with landscape requirements for site plans. And that's something you could, technically approve it within that distance, correct? Special permits, and then they come back eventually and submit an official landscape plan by apply for it. Because you won't be planning to do all that. Another committee, landscape architect, might do something different to them. So you can, if everything else can come back, that's fine.
Does the discretion afforded if the board approves the township amendment allow us discretion to do something different from what's in chapter 26? So we could require more.
Technically, I think our text amendment would. It's at our discretion.
Correct.
We could require more or be more lenient.
If you feel it's not sufficient to screen.
Right.
Be kind of nice to put a sidewalk too.
You want a bike path too?
Yeah.
And I'll just add
I was joking. You guys had
Article
to be there last
26.
meeting.
Sorry, Article 26 of your ordinance does allow for you to modify it anyway, at your discretion. There's provisions in here that provide for that if they provide justification for modification from the landscape standards in the plan. So you have that flexibility both under the text amendment and under Article 26.
I'm going to open this up for public comment now. If anybody would like to come forward, ask questions, or give their opinion, please feel free. Just state your name and address.
Hi, Rick Evans, 7140 Weller Court. Several questions around the landscaping plan. I think it's woefully inadequate, but what's the elevation of the floor of the unit compared to the height of the road?
851 versus 855, I think you said, something like that.
Long building on the east side of the property is roughly 5 feet lower than the road.
Okay.
The road does slope, so there's places where it's a little.
Okay. So, I mean, pictorially, you have less than one tree per door. Obviously, that's not what you intend, but that's where I think the planning seems to be lacking quite a bit. A single row of trees is not a screen. You need to stagger them. I think different heights, different textures, all of the things that you guys were talking about, and can tolerate exhaust fumes from the highway. So, a landscape plan is what I would want to see before I would approve this. So, that's it.
Thank you. Any others? Come on up.
Okay. Well, first I have a question. Is there a special land use permit on this property now?
Not right now, no.
Okay, well then how are they storing things outdoors? Because you need a special land use to store stuff outdoors.
That would be an Ed question. I don't know when that started or.
Well, I own a piece of property on Tiffany that was purchased in 1992, and the sale was contingent on a special land use for storage. And I have receipts from 92 up until 2017 for $50 a year that I paid for special land use. So I have the receipts in here. I can show you. So if they had got one for that property for outside storage, they should have proof of it because they would have been charged for it. Okay, well, I have the receipts here if you'd like to look at them. Chris James issued them, and Don Osborne got it, and my dad bought the property. So that I just want to clear that up because I feel like there's already one in place there because when the property was first a self-storage unit, they couldn't store things outside, and then all of a sudden they started storing things outside, and campers showed up and things like that. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't really affect me, so it wasn't that big a deal. As Jordan did say, I'll just give you my history. I've been in business for 36 years. I've been a township person for 56 years. So I have a lot in common with them, and I'm not opposed to the storage building. The first plan we saw in December had 3 new storage buildings, doors on the side, individual units. Did not have a boat storage facility. Okay. And I'm no different than you guys, because every time someone's come up here and when Cassidy wanted to do self-storage across the street from you in the strip mall, you guys were against it because it affected your business. When Dave Visser wanted to build a storage building on Ramsdale and lease them out like you want to do now, you were against it. You wrote a letter against that. I talked to Dave Visser yesterday. You sent a letter to the township that you were against it. Okay? That's neither here. That's neither here nor there. What I'm getting at is that I feed my family out of my business too. Okay. All right, I will. I feed my family out of my business too. And I don't think that I'm zoned industrial. It's a different zoning. So my tax dollars are going to rezone so we can put a storage building for boat and camper in B1, which it's not designed for, so they can compete against me. And I just don't, I have an issue with that. The other thing I'm really shocked that no one's brought up, this site plan, this property is not conducive to this layout. It's not big enough to try to get down in there. The driveway is less than 40 feet from the fence to the edge of the road. Okay. You pull in there with a pickup truck, which is 20 feet long. You got a 20-foot boat. The trailer is going to be 25 feet long. You're already hanging out in the road. Okay. So let's put some bigger units in there. Let's put 45-foot stalls in there. So we could have a 30-foot travel trailer with a 25-foot pickup truck. So now we're 65. We're hanging out on the Belding Road. Not to mention, it's less than 100 yards from the intersection of Ramsdale, which death trap Ramsdale is. The majority of the accidents in the township happen at Ramsdale. And I'm surprised nobody's brought this up from a safety concern. Mike himself said when he wanted the doors, cars are going by at 55 miles an hour. They don't even see it. It's a main highway. It's a main thoroughfare. People are whizzing by there. So we're going to stop trucks, trailers, campers, motorhomes on Belding Road for people to navigate around. Doesn't seem like a very good idea to me. The other thing is they say there's a need for this. Jeff Lamborn, talked to him this afternoon. He has 7 storage units on the back of the old marina, Belding Road, next to Acme Tire, the old Bostwick Marine, and 2 of them are still empty, and he's had them for 2 years. There's a need. People want to do what Randy's doing. They want to build the place and have their own place. I don't know if it's a need to have an individual unit. And like I said, this isn't personal. Mike wanted to put storage units in there and things like they're doing now. I wouldn't say anything because I wouldn't care. But I feel like we're going to rezone properties so I can create a competitor. Plus, what if they don't rent? Are we going to have plumbers in there? One-man show, a builder? Going to have them doing woodworking in there? Going to have Amazon trucks coming in there and delivering stuff during the day, UPS trucks? They build them, they're going to rent them to somebody. If they don't fill them up with boats and campers, they're going to rent them to somebody. So I think you really need to address the traffic issue and the problem that could potentially be, especially as close as it is to Ramsdale. So yeah, I'm against it, and for the reasons I told you. So it's not personal. If it wasn't Mike here, I'd be saying the same thing to somebody else that's doing it. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a comment about that. Obviously, it's sour grapes. Tom has not liked us in this township for a long time. So that's what it is, pure and simple. From a traffic standpoint, storage units contribute 8 trips per day per 100 units. That's what they contribute. A lot of storage people don't go see their stuff for a year and a half sometimes. So traffic is not an issue. You know, you drive by there, you hardly ever see a car there.
So there's no issue to have a travel trailer sticking out on the Belding Road when they're waiting for the gate to open. The other thing is there's no sour grapes. There's sour grapes maybe because there's been some deceitful thing. whatever. I don't, there's no solid, like I said, I'd be saying this no matter who it was. So I don't think the woe was me attitude is really what should be at heart here. That, you know, I'm picking on because I have sour grapes. Thank you.
Does the gate and the entrance plan stay the same? Is that something we could check with MDOT on? See if they have any concerns? I mean, I understand the concern with it because, yeah, especially if somebody's, as they said, most people that are going to use this are coming from the other direction. They're going to be heading east, and they're going to try to turn left into there. And if that gate's not open, yeah, they're sticking out of the road. If they've got a travel trailer or anything, they're over so many feet. Was it? Right, but was it? The gate probably was something added after the use, though, wasn't it? Right. Push the button. Come on.
Well, I was just thinking about the layout on how you have that one building, and I understand. I love the text amendment idea for having the doors open on this side, but is there any other? You know, we only get to redo each parcel one time, right? And I feel like what you guys have right now, it does look really nice. I assume the architect looked to make sure there was no way you could get them more all symmetrical. It has to have that one weird angle for the sixth building.
You want to take the microphone with you?
Yeah.
There we go. So this building, this corner is at the front setback. So that's kind of why we can't pull it all the way to the road. We can't get closer than this line here. The idea is you can take this and you can turn around and then you can back to whatever you need to do. And honestly, some of these things they'll pull off and have their own little way to get in there without, depending on the size of the trailer, obviously. But they would probably put the biggest vehicles on this end and the smaller stuff over there. So the same thing with fire access. They can get down and turn around here. We've laid that template out to make that work.
Can you speak to the fire marshal's observation on that corner there?
Yeah, he, based on what I just heard, the fire inspector wants to be able to get a man around the end, so the fence is blocking that. That's easily fixed.
A fence or a man or a truck, though?
Usually, you have to be able to pull. Truck pulls to a certain distance, and you can haul the hose 150 feet. So if you can get to this corner 150 feet and 150 feet from this corner, and if they're overlapping, then they meet the fire inspection code. I don't think you have hydrants in this area, right? If there were hydrants in the area, it's 400 feet from the hydrant where the truck pulls the hose as the truck drives, and then 150 feet both directions. We will work with them to get that to work. That fence can just be moved or have a gate in it. Yeah. Usually the rule is you got to be able to reach two sides. So, yeah. So I think from that end we should be fine. But does that answer your question? Why it's at that weird angle? If we put it this way, then you don't have the bigger turnaround for the fire truck, the trailers. And that goes back to, why is this here? Well, that's the low spot. Yeah, it does drive downhill further especially since we had to raise this a foot above the floodplain. So if this were a problem, I'm sure they would move the gate. I mean, that's not I mean, nobody wants a truck hanging over the edge with trailers.
Rob is the top guy with Excel engineering and highly respected in your great saying. So we contemplated looking at this a few different ways. And this makes the most sense from at least visually and functional perspective.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Could, to that last point about the gate, could the applicant speak to how much space there is from the white line along Belding Road to the gate relative to the size of trailers that could get in this third building, which is, I see 45 feet long total, so it could probably fit a 40-foot trailer in it. Is there even that amount of space from the white line, which is the edge of traffic, to the gate where the keypad is to let them in?
I think the distance between this and the two pavements here today is about 45 feet based on the scale. 50 feet. Okay. And I think this is a shoulder area too. But I think there's ways around that. One is you just move it back. Plus, have it open at certain times. It's kind of in and out because it's not like a thing that people are coming any time of day.
One thing to mention as well, the two notable self-storage buildings, those are going to be residential type customers that are coming in with moving van or minivan or a pickup truck. That's the majority of the customers on our site. Yes, we're talking about 18 bays over here, but those are just 18 customers that are navigating, and that may occasionally visit their unit once a month. So traffic is good. One more thing to, the customers don't have to go up to the gate. There are products out there.
Called Easy Code and other things where they actually push a button on their cell phone. So they could be out there in the street on Belding Road, push a button, and the gate will open for them.
Or when they're
Jeff, can I speak to that? So it's better to have them parked in the middle of Belding Road, wait for the gate to open, than just have them pull off the road. I guess that's what I'm hearing.
you can push it as you're driving.
Well, so now we're gonna do our on the road, so they can use your cell phone. Okay, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
The gate will be a concern, obviously. My question's more towards the SLU application. Ed. Does this mean outdoor storage goes away, or are they adding that to the application as well?
So yeah, they could. I don't know if they're proposing to remove it or if they're proposing to keep it, but it should be part of the special land use because any non-conforming use will be destroyed by the fact that they're changing it now. So they would have to have it be part of their special land use if they're going to continue it. Otherwise, if they're going to discontinue the outside storage, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, the only issue I have with that is it's currently legal non-conforming use. We're not going to expand on legal non-conforming use, so I don't think there is a requirement.
Well, I'd say the legal non-conforming use by the fact that they are amending and changing the site, they're expanding it. Therefore, an expansion destroys a legal non-conforming use. So, from the township's perspective, I would say the non-conforming use is destroyed by the fact that they're doing that now. So, I guess if they're going to continue it, it has to be part of the special land use.
Because it would be part of the site plan, obviously, the location where it's at, we have to account for, correct?
It would need to be on the site plan, yeah.
Which it looks like it's over to the east or the west side. Is there any setback issues with that, Ed? Is there a volume issue? A percentage?
expand the outdoor storage. We're not choosing to relocate it. In fact, a lot of the existing outdoor spaces right now are being improved, constructed two buildings for traditional storage units.
So if you look at the plan here, there's outdoor storage space though. That's the one.
Well, I understand they're moving it.
I think it's already over there. There's already outdoor storage occurring here and here. This is going away. So we're reducing what is there.
Is there a text stating a limit to it, or? You do have it over there right now on the west side?
Yes.
I can't zoom in on that.
Jeff, just to clarify, there's storage here right now.
Right.
That'll all go away when these buildings are built. There's also storage here. This is what we're proposing would stay, but all the rest of this would go.
Is that something that we can limit? The number of spots for outdoor storage as part of the condition to the SLU?
I think we need to look at, does outdoor storage even a permissible special land use in the B1 district? And I haven't looked at that. I know there's an outdoor storage accessory to an industrial use in your ordinance. I don't see it. I don't know if there's one for in the B1 district.
So that would possibly have to go away.
Yeah, so I think the outdoor storage has to go away.
Can I address that? Going back to day one, Ned Stewart's, who built this, he had outdoor storage.
But it's a non-conforming use right now.
No, I understand that. We always had outdoor storage. It became a question in 2020 when Trish Anderson was the planner and Paul LeBlanc was, I guess, the consultant planner, or I'm not sure which. We had a meeting with them and they had some concerns and did not want to they wanted to make sure it wasn't expanded. They basically said, we're fine with the outdoor storage, but they wanted a topo, and they wanted a topo that showed all of our parking spots so that they had a benchmark so it couldn't grow.
Well, I understand that, but it's still a non-conforming use. And once you apply for a new site plan, I mean, that makes it go away. You would have to reapply for it. Okay. I think this is going to be one of the conditions of the site plan, though. If it's a non-conforming use, I mean, we can't add that to the SLU legally, can we? Especially if it's not allowed in the B1 district.
Yeah, I mean, we can't add it as a non-conforming. You can't add it as a special land use because it's not a permanent special land use. The argument that they're making is that the non-conforming use is not destroyed by their application. I think the case law supports that if you expand the use, you're destroying the non-conforming use. It doesn't continue. And we'd be happy to listen to, if they have a legal argument to support why they think the non-conforming use isn't destroyed, we can look at that. But I think that it is.
I think I'm ready to make a motion.
Does anybody have any other comments?
A quick question. Where you come in off of Building Road, looking at that drawing, your width looks narrower than across the street. You've got long vehicles. Why wouldn't you open that up a little bit? Give them more space to pull a turn either way.
The width of that, we don't have a striking on here. I think there's more.
I know you got an entrance there now.
There is.
Yeah, but wouldn't it make sense to open it up a little more?
Anything that we do can only be done as if MDOT approves it, and I can't commit to things that I haven't gone through.
I'm just looking at a long vehicle that's gonna pull a 180.
That will work. That will
Yeah.
certainly work. I'm sure of it 100% because we can turn around. In that.
Yeah, to get down there, they gotta pull a 180.
Yep. We've got truck templates with trailers. We turn them all.
Have you got to deal with MDOT to open that up?
If we do anything in the MDOT right away.
You got to deal with MDOT?
Yep. Yep. Don't let anybody just build it right away, which is fine. That's good.
I already did that, technically. Oh, maybe I didn't. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. There's too many public hearings tonight. Sorry? Yeah. So there's a couple things, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but there's a couple things that I have concerns with the outdoor storage part of it. If we're going to add buildings, why wouldn't we remove it, especially if it's non-conforming use? I think we need to consider moving the gate back. And I think Eileen is correct. We need to have a professional landscape plan. Even for the old part of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the length of the property.
Right.
So the other question I had is, and I don't know if I heard Ed correctly, that MDOT has not weighed in on this because there already was an existing curb cut. So I don't know if they're required to, but
As they expand the business, asking them to review it.
is there?
Right.
We don't typically do that.
I mean, I'm not too concerned about the curb cut. I'm more concerned about backing that gate off a bit. Then we can eliminate some safety issues.
Mm-hmm.
You can make your motion.
Sure.
If there's any other comments, or if you guys have any other questions for the applicant.
My motion would be to approve the site plan approval as written, with the conditions that outdoor storage goes away, and we have a professional landscape architect make a plan along the whole perimeter per building side. That's a very professional motion if anyone wants to make it a little nicer.
Friendly amendment, a condition for building 3, obviously. Conditional on approval of the board for the text amendment.
But I love that they're doing crushed concrete there. That will be really nice for water flow, and everyone always wants to pave, and this will be better for the wetlands too.
Yeah, you did a site plan.
Oh, yes. It was for both.
Friendly consideration on an amendment is also to take into account modification of that point where the building and the fence meet to allow firefighter access, consistent with the comment from the fire marshal. Perfect.
And I would add to the landscape plan that would be, again, subject to the township staff and approval. Unless you want to see it again, you can have it come back before the planning commission, but you could have it, they submit a comprehensive landscape plan compliant with the ordinances and to this township satisfaction.
You want to read that back to us?
So if the board were to, I'm sorry if I can comment, if the board approves that though, I think it has to come back to the planning commission for us to waive it. Or, I mean, it feels odd to me that we would be waiving this requirement without actually seeing the plan.
So
The landscape plan, you mean?
yeah, I think you can waive the doors facing the road issue now, conditioned upon the board approving the text amendment, and then you would require as part of the special land use and site plan approval that they submit a comprehensive landscape plan that would be approved by Ed or the township staff. Right. Right. So you can do it in one step. You may, if you want to have oversight of that, you can have them come back with the landscape plan for you to consider it, but you can also delegate that to the township staff for their consideration and approval.
Would you be willing to make a friendly amendment to yours, asking that they bring it back to the PC?
I'd be happy to make that friendly amendment.
But I don't want to complicate the life here.
No, but
No,
I mean, that's essentially what we asked for the text amendments. We might as well do it.
Yeah.
Plus, it's like only reading half a book. You want to read the whole thing, right?
Okay, so we have a motion. You want to read that back one more time, Ed? Make sure we all know what we're.
Special land use and site plan approval with the condition outdoor storage area is removed and professional landscape plan is submitted and comes back for approval to the planning commission. Conditional on the text amendment being approved by the township board and conditional that all comments by the township attorney, engineer, and fire chief are addressed.
I would like to make a friendly amendment to move the gate back.
How?
That's where I think we would need to discuss it a little bit. You said that green space between Belding Road and the parking lot was roughly 50 feet.
Correct.
Could we move it back to the 50-foot mark? What are you guys' thoughts?
I think we figure out what the maximum size vehicle that they're going to put through there, and we make sure that it's entirely off the road before the gate is placed. And whether they put two gates there, one for one side and the other, or whatever, just somehow or another, yes, nobody wants to have a trailer hanging out in the road. That's not good.
If the gates move back, will there be enough turning radius for your coming
We will make sure it has enough turning radius.
Because once you enter the project, if you move the gate back,
I would suggest that you move it back to have township engineer review. So you already suggested it.
Roughly 50 feet, so he could make an acceptable or not.
If they say, well, we're only going to get this size trailer in there, then you limit it to they can also limit it to that. So there's ways to do it, but I don't want to. I have to measure.
Understandable. Yeah.
Don't want to design a gate for the years.
Did you say you couldn't move it without talking to MDOT, or was that just the curb cut?
Anything done in the right of way cannot be added or subtracted without MDOT. And honestly, they're so busy when you think of how many jobs are on MDOT roads to try to review something that's not really going to have anything that's really 6 months out trying to just get something out. And I went to high school with Kerwin.
So could we maybe have the friendly amendment to the motion be that the driveway meet the engineer's approval? Would you be willing to take that on?
Yeah, you could do a performance type requirement where you say as needed to make sure that no part of a vehicle or trailer will impede traffic or hang out into the road, and then leave it in Rob's court and my court to review that and make sure that happens.
You okay with that?
Yes.
Let me know when you're done writing that, and I'll have you read it back again.
if I write just summarize as driveway meets engineer performance requirements.
There we go. So we have a motion. Is there any support?
I'm sorry, because there've been so many amendments. Can I just ask, so does the motion say open air storage is
Removed.
prohibited?
Outdoor storage area will removed.
And because there are other places on the plan where it says open air storage, so I was just trying to make sure we were all on the same page. We weren't talking just about that location that's on
It's
west.
just the location along the west. Any of the plans that say open air storage, that's from a previous submittal. that they
Okay.
were using the grading plans. I believe.
Okay, thank you. Second?
All right. We have a motion. We have support. Ed, would you like to do a roll call vote?
Broad,
Yes.
Telsey Sladen,
Yes.
Twyman,
Yes.
LaPrant.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Any planning commission comments?
Well, I have an update for you guys from last night at the board meeting.
Yeah.
We got a signed agreement for the parking, the kids in parking.
Can it be
situation.
discussed?
Yes, it's going on the website. Do you know if it got posted yet?
What's that?
The parking agreement, if it got posted?
I'm not aware if it is.
You don't know. It was a closed session, so I think I should wait till it's posted just to be sure.
You tease us with there's an agreement, and then
But it will be posted on the website. I think I'm good, but I just don't want to get in trouble.
but there is an agreement.
There's agreement and it's signed. So,
All right.
and I'm trying to drive you guys to the website more. So,
Okay. Do you have any comments?
Yes. First, I'm gonna looking at getting a site plan review course from the Michigan Association of Planning to have them come in, so it'll be about a 4 to 5 hour course. I've taken it instead of making you all go to Frankenmuth. Seeing about having them come in and maybe a course over just Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals in general.
But they have a water park over there.
They have 2 of them now.
We could make it an outing now.
I grew up next to Frankenmuth. I don't want to go back. Secondly, zoning ordinance review. We're going to be setting up a subcommittee between the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Township Board. Ordinance hasn't been gone through since 1996. It needs to. There's a lot of stuff that are outdated. Today we were looking through it. There's sections that talk about properties that have well and septic or public water and sewer, but we have properties that are mixed, so the ordinance doesn't address it. It's time. There's a lot like this that could be addressed.
Are you
sounds
going
like
to
fun.
create that committee, or do you need volunteers?
I'll reach out.
Okay.
And we'll need to set up a date, so I'll reach out and then we'll need to set up times to start reviewing it. So,
Is there something for next month?
no.
We
So
can-
we could, at the next meeting we could.
Okay.
But I was kind of thinking about maybe having that as a date for the training, if we can schedule it.
Oh, yeah, we could do that too. Do we have any applicants?
We have 2.
I had someone reach out to me today saying they were going to apply.
Just have them fill out an application, send it to Jim Alice, and then he'll send it to me, and then wait until June 1st. We're trying to
June 1's the deadline. Okay.
get more people to apply.
Cool. I appreciate everybody's time and commitment to this, and thank you. We'll go. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I sent you my application.
There you go.
Yep. Steve, yep, I have your application, so you're one of them.